Alright, fuckers and fuckettes, now, this isn't for most of y'all. This is for our current Congress, members of Congress, be they in the House, the Senate, be they Democratic or Republican, Libertarian, Constitutional Party, I don't care. It's for all of them. Past few days, all of you ladies and gentlemen, and I'm actually happy to see that there are quite a few women in Congress now, more than we've ever had in the history of the United States. But within the past few days, you have all taken an oath to uphold the Constitution. And that means protect it, not try and find ways to circumvent it, not try and find ways around it. That means protect it and uphold it. Make sure it remains intact in the law of the land. It is one of my sincere requests that you do so. And I very seriously doubt any of you will pay any attention to me. I mean, you know, big dick redneck working on motorcycles, fuck, he ain't nobody. Yeah, you're right. But I am your basic average American. I might have a PhD and a doctorate. And more degrees than most thermometers. A lot of that shit was clipped. But anyway, another thing that I would like to see is it's come to my understanding that when you open a session of Congress, you guys are no longer pledging allegiance to the flag. I would like to see just one of you grow the balls one morning and stand up on an open mic and pledge allegiance to the flag, and just so that the American people can see how many members of Congress are real Americans. Because the ones that don't put their hand over their heart or salute, and I'm sorry I don't stand, I'm in a lot of pain right now, I don't eat no pain pills, but the ones that don't put their hand over their heart or salute, well, those are the ones that should not have ever made it into any office. And those are the ones that were pretty much guaranteed there's no way in hell they're going to defend the Constitution, because if they're not American enough to pledge allegiance to the flag, they're not American enough to uphold their oath to uphold the Constitution. And I honestly and truthfully, ever since OpenCongress.org was founded and WhiteHouse.gov, I've been reading a lot of the legislation that you guys have put out. And a lot of it is poorly worded drivel at best. Unfortunately, some of it is becoming law, or has become law. And I'm not talking about the Healthcare Act, Affordable Healthcare Act. I'm talking about, you know, you've had HRs, what was it, 667, the Endangered Species Act, or Species Act, Restricted Species, the one that would have stopped us Americans from having any pet other than a dog, a cat, or a goldfish. And that one worried me at the time that it was floating around inactive, and actually I'm surprised, as poorly worded as it was, that it even made it to a vote. That should have never been. Please, start checking yourselves. Check each other. You know, if nothing else, there's plenty of people like me out there that, okay, I can shoot a hole through it right there. Just ask us, we'll read it for you. I mean, I understand that there's a lot of you that have signed off on stuff that you've never even read. And that's another thing, and that does go with the Health Act, Affordable Health Care Act, Obamacare. That should have never been signed. I understand that Nancy Pelosi was up there, and she said, well, in order to see inside of it, you got to sign it before you can read it. Yeah, I'm sorry, that should have never happened. I mean, there are so many riders in there. There's so much pork in there. I mean, goddamn, there's a gun control bill. Well, a rider which deals with gun control. In the Health Care Act? Come on. You know, please, no more of that. I mean, you would not sell a business without very carefully reading the non-compete agreement that you're signing when you sell it. You wouldn't buy a business and expect the guy not to read the non-compete agreement. You wouldn't buy a contract. You wouldn't buy a house or a warehouse or a shopping mall without reading the sales contract, the conditions, the terms and conditions of the sale. Why would you sign something as important as that? You know, the Affordable Health Care Act affects millions of Americans. And the Constitution holds that all men are created equal. Yet you have passed a law that you have exempted yourselves from. I'm sorry, that just doesn't wash with me, because I truly do believe that all men are created equal. Plain and simple. You know, you are no better than the kid working at McDonald's in my eyes. Although I do think in the case of a lot of you, the kid working at McDonald's probably has a lot more honor. I mean, you want an example? Here's Miss Feinstein. I swear to uphold the Constitution of the United States. Oh shit. I'm gonna try and get around the Second Amendment. That shit ain't right. When you swear to uphold the Constitution of the United States, that means that you're going to uphold it. You're not going to try and circumvent it. You're not going to try and sabotage it. You're not going to try and find ways around it which meet unconstitutional ends. No. There's no retaliation coming from me in any way, shape, form, or fashion. You know, if you fail to meet my requests, I have no illusion that most of you will probably laugh when you see this. That's my God's honest opinion. I truthfully, totally, wholeheartedly believe in the Constitution, the Bill of Rights. I believe that liberty includes the right to travel freely and unmolested and not be pulled over and have my bike dismantled by fucking Homeland Insecurity and goddamn Tampa PD. And yeah, I am the one that threw my fucking title on the ground and just walked off because they didn't even offer to put it back together. Chances of me ever having another Vincent in my lifetime, okay, let me reword that, me ever having another running, get that keyword in there, running Vincent in my lifetime are slim to none. And I clearly to this day remember that cop going, oh, they call it crank because they hide it in the crank case. These fuckers didn't even offer to put it back together. I was pissed. But, and DUI checkpoints, I can understand why they have one, and that wasn't even a DUI checkpoint, that was the guys that they had it under, but that was not it. And I know that that bike was later sold because there's only so many Vincents in Florida. I watch Craigslist and eBay like a hawk. I also watch Walnex and Yukaz and several others. I know it was never impounded because I never got a notice in the mail saying that it was going to be auctioned, so we know that it was pretty much somebody from Homeland Insecurity or Tampa PD just kind of, fuck, dumbass walked off, I'm going to take this son of a bitch home, put it back together and sell it. But that shit ain't right. Just because y'all have made, you know, and don't get me wrong, it was my choice to throw the title on the ground and walk off. So, cop did nothing wrong. Basically, I mean, they could have got me for littering at that point, even though I wasn't the one that dismantled it. But the corruption in government and the anti-constitution movement in government, please stop. Spending more than the government takes in and then expecting the American taxpayer to pick up the bill. Please stop. Make some real actual cuts. Don't cut projected spending on shit that we're not even spending money on right now. Oh, well, we're going to spend this down the road. We'll cut that out. That'll save us $12 million. That's all smoke and mirrors. Make real cuts. The government has grown to a size that our founding fathers had never intended. The government has grown to the point where most people feel that you're trying to micromanage every aspect of our lives from cradle to grave, and I'm sorry, but that's not part of being American. It's not part of being a free people. That's part of being in a dictatorship. That's something that you would expect to have seen in Russia before Perestroika. You know, we're still sending foreign aid to China. They're doing better than we are. Why are we sending them any foreign aid? We just sent $160 million worth of armored vehicles to Lebanon with no contract, no agreement, nothing that says that they have to pay us for those. And it's kind of a tumultuous country. We don't need to be doing that. We need to be looking out for America first before we go spending money on other countries. Please, act that way. Like I say, there's no way in hell that I'll ever retaliate against any of you if you don't. Number one, you're not worth my time. You're a politician. I count you as basically, yeah, you're a male cow manure salesman. Yeah, that's bullshit. Bullshit salesman with a mouthful of free samples. That's what I count politicians as. It is God's honest truth. That's how I feel about it. And I mean, I'm lucky if I can make it. I live 5 minutes from my shop. If the pain is low enough for me to make it to drive that 5 minutes 3-4 times a week, I'm lucky. I don't eat pain pills. Worst I do is smoke a little weed. And you know, occasionally if I'm feeling really good, I might get on one of my lighter bikes and, you know, go out and play at high speeds that I probably shouldn't be playing at. But you know what, I do it early on a Sunday morning when there's no traffic out, and if I do fuck up, the only one that's going to get hurt's me. You know, and when I go street racing, it's all on private property. You know, what can the cops do? They can wait off the property, hope that we speed when we're leaving. They can't do anything while we're on the property, thank God. Otherwise I wouldn't do it. I mean, in other words, it's not illegal
even though most of the little 20-year-olds think that it's illegal, it's not. That's the worst I do. I've seen some of y'all do some pretty fucked up shit in the 80s. Come on. We had congressmen passing checks all over Virginia and DC, and none of y'all went to jail. All men are created equal. No more exemptions from the laws. If you break the law, you do the same time as the average person. If you pass a law requiring us all to have insurance, you should be subject to that law as well. Like I say, there's no chance of me ever retaliating. On a really good day, if I've got somebody that has a car that rides softly and they drive like grandma, I might be able to tolerate the pain long enough to get to Sarasota and fart around. And I'm going to pay for it for a couple of days afterwards. But one of the things that I've grown up believing in is the Constitution of these United States. I grew up going to school saying the Pledge of Allegiance every morning. I understand that pledging allegiance to the flag offends some of you, and that's why it's no longer said on the floor of Congress when you arrive in the mornings like it should be. I would love to see one of you grow the balls to just stand up with an open mic and pledge allegiance to the flag. And those members of Congress who don't put their hand over their heart and don't salute, us Americans would at least know, hey, look, that's an anti-American motherfucker. We don't need to vote for that ever again. This particular copy, I have several. This is the one I carry with me. It's usually in plastic because it's old and getting a little bit worn out. This was given to me by a retired, he's now retired, Judge Bernard S. Keelton. I've read it cover to cover many, many times. The binding's worn out. I probably need to get a new copy, but kind of like it. And anyway, I believe in it. I believe in the Constitution. I don't have one on the scroll. If I did, my squirrel would probably chew it up, so that's why I've got pretty much the little portable copies, and I've got one frame copy. And frame copy is actually in a box at the top of my closet. I haven't hung it up. It's been down here 12 years and still haven't hung it up, but I still have it. Still know where it's at. Still look at it every now and then. And I'm nobody. I'm just a old shot up fucking redneck working on motorcycles. I'm nobody. I pose no threat to you in any way, shape, form, nor fashion whatsoever. But it is my sincere request that if only one of you has the balls to stand up and pledge allegiance to the flag right there in open session, or at the opening of a session, I'd greatly appreciate it. I'd greatly appreciate it if more of you, a couple of you, are actually in favor of the Constitution. I would greatly appreciate it if more of you would do what you are honor-bound to do and protect and uphold the Constitution of these United States of America the entire time that you're in office, whether it be this time, next time. That's just how I feel about it. Plain, simple, I don't like what I see in our government. I don't like seeing you sign off on a health care bill without ever reading it. You wouldn't buy anything major without reading the fine print. I don't even begin to pretend that I comprehend why you would sign that without reading it. I don't begin to pretend to understand why we're sending foreign aid to countries that don't like us, to Islamic extremists. I don't begin to pretend to understand why we sent money to Greece a couple of years ago. I understand that they were going down, but I also understand that we were deeply in debt with spending out of control. And I understand thoroughly that we're still on deficit spending and no one has made any real actual cuts. I thoroughly understand that, and I'm counting property taxes in this number. I just went from 68.4% of my income gone every year to 71.2% of my income gone every year because of some of these new taxes. I understand that very well. I don't begin to comprehend why. Because quite frankly, I don't think that I'm getting my money's worth out of my tax dollars, and there's a lot of other Americans that feel the same way. I don't, all of you in Congress who are promoting socialist ideas, I do not know of one American soldier who has ever fought for socialism. Communism, same thing. We have a president who has proven time and again that he has very little respect for the Constitution, and via executive order will circumvent it. We have people in Congress who supported the NDAA, that little rider in there that allows for the indefinite detention without trial of American citizens. I'm sorry, I'm ashamed. I'm ashamed to even exist in the same country with people who would sign something like that, because America was founded on freedoms. America was founded on liberty. Hopefully that act never takes effect against me, but then again, fuck it. Probably wouldn't live long enough to make it to trial anyway, so piss on y'all. Yeah, you've got Ms. Feinstein just took her oath of office, and she's on a bandwagon about she wants to cut out the Second Amendment and ban guns and all this and that. Well, historically, as a general rule, you cannot show me one single country where guns have been banned, where millions of people have not died. Well, okay, there's one where it was only in the hundreds of thousands, but that country only had a couple of million at the time. Generally, if a government is trying to disarm the people, it's because they're fixing to go county or something, and a lot of folks are about to die. And her timing on this is just horrible, because, let's see, didn't we just have a couple of billion rounds of ammunition purchased for Homeland Insecurity, FEMA? The IRS is getting armed. That's really bad timing there, because that triggers a lot of alarms in a lot of people's heads. And where you're saying that guns commit crimes, guns cause crimes, well, all of mine must be defective. Every single one of them, because the worst I do is smoke a little weed, and then it's, if somebody's got it, I'll smoke it. If I'm out on one of these little sand islands, you can't get it on mangrove islands, but if I'm out on one of these little sand islands I know where the plants are. I know where there's a plant right up there by the sheriff's dock on that little bump island up there. I'll pick what I want, smoke it right there. I never carry any with me. When they legalize it, good, great. I've tried the fake shit, it ain't as good. I'd rather have fucking ditchweed than that. But, never carry any on me, so I ain't gonna get nailed for that. The worst you might get me for is speeding. You know, I do that on days when I'm feeling good and I hop on one of my light bikes. But like I said, I'm not about to hurt anyone. If I do, it'll be me. But instead of focusing on taxing us more and feeding us a bunch of smoke and mirrors about you're going to cut some projected spending that we're not even spending any money on now. And yeah, I know you made one or two tiny real cuts, but they were basically token bullshit. It's, you know, my very sincere request, aside from honoring the Constitution and upholding it and making sure that it stands, would be that, you know, hey, either start acting in the interests of the actual American people who put you in there and entrusted you to do so, to act in the interests of the American people, not in your own interests and not in corporate interests. Act in the interests of the American people. It's why you were put there. You took that oath to uphold the Constitution. If the flag offends you so much that you have to take it out of our schools, now I can understand letting the foreign kid remain seated and not salute the flag. He doesn't have to. He's not from here. I can understand the kid that maybe he's anti-American. I can understand him sitting down. Don't stop the rest of the kids from, by their choice, pledging allegiance to the flag. And if it offends a teacher, well, hey, you know, this is America. That teacher really shouldn't be teaching our kids. That's my opinion, but I understand that we have teachers like that. We have foreign teachers. But above all else, if a member of Congress isn't willing to put their hand over their heart or salute, depending on their background, the flag during the Pledge of Allegiance, you know, hey, one of y'all grow some balls and get that pledge back when Congress is in session, right at the beginning, every single time, you know, or at least once. And let the American people see which ones of you are American and which ones are not. I'd love to see that. That's pretty much all I've got to say. Like I say, I doubt that any of you will even remotely gain any respect for the Constitution or the flag, and you're probably laughing at me, going, dumbass redneck. But it's my opinion. That's my 2 cents on the subject. And I really, honestly and truthfully, I don't feel that since 2006, when the economy started to go down, and I do know why, because I do pay attention, I don't feel that I've gotten my tax dollars worth out of Congress. And you've allowed Obama by executive order to exert powers that are outside the scope of intent of his office even. And the one of you that I know, actually I don't know if he got reelected this time, but used to come to my hangar parties, used to have the balls to show up in public without security. I'm ashamed to know you. Well, I'll let y'all fuckers and fuckheads later.